Welcome to the Sea Scout base, the home of sea scouting in Cape Town, South Africa. Behind me we have got scouts from local Sea Scout troops to assist with the Kent Request project. The Scouts Own was first held at Gilwell Park, UK Scouting HQ at 11 AM on Sunday the 5th of September 2021 when a commemorative plaque to Scouts Marr and Mooney was officially unveiled. The intention is then to pass on, share and hold the Scouts Own with fellow Scouts around the world all along the original route of Quest's 1921 to 1922 voyage, exactly 100 years after Quest arrived at each location. This will include the Antarctic Peninsula using a facsimile of the commemorative plaque. After returning from Antarctica, the Request 2021 team planned to hold a final reunion Scouts Own ceremony at Fordhall First, Scottish Scouting HQ, where a replica commemorative plaque will also be installed.
The inscription on the plaque reads as follows: Remember James William Marr, 1902-1965, and Norman Earline Mooney, 1905-1945, who took part in the 1921 Shackleton's Quest expedition. Note that the official expedition name was the Shackleton Rowett Expedition. However, like many of the expeditions of the heroic age, it was also often referred to by the expedition ship, in this case Quest. The larger commemorative plaque was unveiled on 5th September 2021, marking the Request 2021 expedition to Antarctica, 100 years after two scouts sailed on Sir Ernest Shackleton's final voyage of exploration. The plaque was designed by stonemason Mark Brooks from Canterbury in Kent. The smaller replica plaque will be installed at Fordhall First, Scout HQ, Scotland, by the Request 2021 team in 2022.
The Shackleton Road expedition of 1921 to 1922 was financed by Shackleton's friend, the businessman and philanthropist, John Twiller Rowett. They had met during school holidays at Dutch College, London. In September 1921, the expedition sailed on ship Quest with plans to survey the island and navigation routes of the southern oceans. On the 5th of January 1922, upon arrival at the island of South Georgia, Sir Ernest Shackleton, who was ill, died on board Quest.
An extract from the Book of the Quest, 1929, The Boss as I Knew Him, by Dr. Leonard Darcy, a member of Sir Ernest Shackleton's last two expeditions. To have known Sir Ernest Shackleton was a privilege, but to have worked with him, shared his hardships and his adventures, and to have secured his friendship was a privilege, according to Field. I count myself very fortunate that I was one of those few. He had a great admiration for the Boy Scout movement, so much so that he took two scouts, Marr and Mooney, with us on the last expedition on the Quest. Sir Ernest was one of the greatest Englishmen that the world has ever seen, and we lost our best friend when he went. Still, we tried to carry on as he would like us to have done, and we are never tired of talking about him and hearing of him. He is still very near to us, and in carrying on his ideals and his traditions, we feel that he is attaining true immortality, and that as long as Englishmen and English boys can appreciate a true man, Shackleton's name will be held as an example and as an ideal. He would desire no further epitaph than he played the game.
The Shackleton Road expedition was the first polar expedition to involve scouts. Following nationwide recruitments, scouts Norman Mooney and James Marr were selected to join the crew of Quest. Mooney from Orkney was badly affected by seasickness and returned home from Madeira a few weeks into the voyage. Upon his return to Orkney in 1921, Mooney registered as a student engineer at the Royal College of Science and Technology in Glasgow. After graduation, he took on a role as a land surveyor with the Ordnance Survey based in Southampton. In 1929, Mooney passed the Colonial Survey examination, and he was employed by the Colonial Office as a land surveyor in Nigeria, mapping previously uncharted areas. On the 20th of November 1945, at the age of 40, he was tragically killed when an accident occurred whilst he was out surveying. James Marr from Aberdeen went on to become a marine biologist and polar explorer, in his own right publishing seminal work on the natural history of Antarctic krill. In 1945, Marr was selected to lead a covert mission called Operation Tabaroon. Tabarin was the predecessor of the Falkland Islands Dependency Survey, which later became the British Antarctic Survey. In 1954, Marr became one of only 18 men to have received both the bronze and silver polar medals. In 1961, he was appointed president of the Antarctic Club. Marr died at the age of 62 from emphysema and bronchopneumonia on the 29th of April 1965 at Milford Chest Hospital, Busbridge, Surrey, after a prolonged period of illness.
The Kent Scouts Request 2021 Arctic Research Project marks the centenary of Shackleton the Expedition. A team of 10 scouts from Kent and Scotland explore the waters and islands of the Arctic during January 2022. In keeping with the spirit of the original expedition, Request 2021 is carrying out research projects with themes of peace, heritage, and environment, and aims to leave a lasting legacy to inspire young people to explore the world around them. The project itself has 10 objectives. Voyage, participate as members of the crew of Bark Europa on a voyage to Antarctica. Projects, take personal projects with each team member presenting their results. Centenary, hold centenary flag ceremonies in both UK and Antarctica. Plaques, unveil commemorative plaques to Scout Marr and Rooney in England and Scotland. Outreach, involve young people in a series of fun and educational outreach activities. Thames, host a pre-expedition PR event at Tower Bridge on Friday 17th September 2021. Plymouth, participate in Devon and Cornwall Polar Society Centenary event in Plymouth. Shackleton, celebrate and pay respects to the achievements of Sir Ernest Shackleton. Links, build strong links with scouts from other countries on the original expedition route. Legacy, leave a lasting scout polar research legacy inspired by Scout Marr's work on Cook.
The problem can be summed up to the 10th of the power of 3. 10 scouting ambassadors, 8 from Kent and 2 from Scotland, sailing on a tall ship to Antarctica. 100 years after the original Shackleton Road Quest expedition, back in 1921. Thousands of young people engaged and educated about the 3 key lessons of peace, environment, and heritage, to be learned from this amazing, fragile, frozen southern continent.
Shackleton's last diary entries. Ernest Shackleton died of heart failure in the early hours of the morning on the 5th of January 1922. These last diary entries recall his thoughts as the ship approached South Georgia. 1st of January 1922. Rest and calm after the storm. The year has begun kindly for us. It is curious how a certain date becomes a milestone in one's life. Christmas Day in the raging gale seemed out of place. I dared not venture to hope that today would be as it was. Anxiety has been probing deeply into me, for until the end of the year, things have gone airy. Engines were liable, furnace cracked, water short, heavy gales, all that physically can go wrong, but the spirit of all on board sound and good. There are 2 points in the adventure of a diver. One, when a beggar he prepares to plunge. One, when a prince he rises with his pearl. 2nd of January 1922. Another wonderful day. Fine, clear, slight headwind, but cheerful for us after these last days of stress and strain. At 1 p.m. we passed our first berg. The old familiar sight aroused me memories that the strenuous years have deadened. Blue caverns shone with sky glow, snatched from heaven itself. Green spurs showed beneath the waters, and bergs mast high came sailing by as green as emerald. Ah me, the years that have gone since in the period of young manhood I first went forth to the fight. I grow old and tired, but must always lead on. 3rd of January 1922. Another beautiful day. Fortune seems to attend us this new year, but so anxious have I been when things are going well. I wonder what in time difficulty will be sprung on me. All day long, a light wind and clear sky was our happy position. I find a difficulty in settling down to write. I am so much on the qui-vive. I pray that the furnace will hold out. Thankful that I can be crossed and thwarted as a man. 4th of January 1922. At last, after 16 days of turmoil and anxiety, on a peaceful, sun-shining day, we came to anchor in Grytviken. How familiar the coast seemed as we passed down. We saw with full earnest the places we struggled over after the boat journey. Now we must speed all we can, but the prospect is not too bright, for labour is scarce. The old smell of dead whale permeates everything. It is a strange and curious place. A wonderful evening. In the darkening twilight, I saw a lone star hover, gemmed like above the bay.
Following on. Why am I here? A young lad known to fame refilled his pipe and poked a log into the flame. Away on the skyline frowned a snowy-capped peak. Around him lay the desert, white and bleak. The grey gull's screams were ominous to hear. Why am I here? No answer came, the cold wind moaned, and the boom of cracking ice a sound of dread. The fire's red glow his nimble fancy roamed, and his winged hero's motto through his head. Never, never the lost endeavour, never the lowered flag. And as it merged with the roar of the waters and the blast front be the icy crack, why am I here? To such work he nobly left behind, to tread his trail in storm and freezing wind, his ache to feel, and also his strength of heart, to be like him, to bear the harder part, to fight the polar mountains stark and drear. That's why I'm here. Robert Harding.
Baden-Powell's introduction in the Book of the Quest, 1929, Nothing is Impossible. Nothing is impossible if we set our minds to it. 21 years ago, there were 25 scouts in the world. If anyone had said, well, go on and raise 2 million of them distributed in every country over the globe, one would have said, no thank you, impossible. But the Jamboree this year will show that the impossible has been attained in the short space of 21 years. In our work with the boys, we can do a lot to lift the poorest and most hopeless out of their slough and give them hope and aspiration. We can hold up to them the innumerable histories of self-made successful men to whom, in their early days, such a future would have seemed impossible. The Scouts should be taught to kick the M from the word impossible.
Let's finish with a reading of the final words from Marr's 1923 book, Into the Frozen South. And now, I can hardly believe that it was all true. Yet it was true, gloriously so. I too have seen and known and learnt. I too have companioned with the great souls who helped make our island history. Sir Ernest Shackleton, Commander Frank Wild, and all the others, all great of heart and fearless of soul, had been my shipmates and my friends. It was a memorable year indeed, and for all time I know I must carry with me a vision of tumbling waves by day and phosphorescent breakers in the darkness, the grind and bellow of the closing pack, the rush and roar of the broken waters at the growler's feet, the hushed noises of the seals as they come to the surface to still water of the pack, and always shall see in the mind's eye of the glory Antarctic night. And the most poignant yet, inspiring of all my memories, there is that the lonely cross outlined against the whirling drive of the South Georgian sleet, the sign which remains to tell the great spirit that led us forth and died, yet lives again as a magnet to draw the brave away from the sleek comforts of life into the outer world of daring, where men may gaze in awe upon the wonders of the world.
Marr writes very fondly of the time spent around Cape Town on Quest's return journey from the 19th of June to the 12th of June 1922. The Scouts were very kind to me wherever I went,
and I regret that I did not have time enough to see as much of them as I wish. But it would be utterly impossible for me to write of the many great people we had the honor to meet, and countless places of interests and public functions we were present at. All they would have to be reserved for another story. What with dinners, luncheons, dances, motor drives, etc., and showing thousands of people over the ship. We had scarcely a moment to ourselves. Every day was a red letter day, and I shall always remember our stay as the most wonderful month I have ever spent. Transcription from Cape Times, 20th of June 1922, Patrol Leader Marr. A welcome from local scouts. Some 52 Green and Sea Point scouts tramped down to the docks on Sunday morning to welcome Patrol Leader Marr to South Africa, and their disappointment may be imagined when they saw the quest putting out to sea again. However, a generous friend, who it is believed was Mr Kenneth Pritchard, came forward and told them all to jump into the motor pleasure boats, and he would stand the racket. A fine 7-mile stern chase after the quest was the result, and when alongside shouts were given for Marr, he came to the side of the boat and acknowledged the cheers given on his behalf. The little jaunt was thoroughly enjoyed by all, and it was a thrilling sight to see the famous boat rolling in the swell. Needless to say, the scouts were thoroughly appreciated Mr Pritchard's kind actions and thanked him in the characteristic scout style on reaching shore. Extract from Shackleton Scouts.
This concludes the Shackleton Scouts Own, performed by Sea Scouts in Cape Town, South Africa. Thank you very much.